The empty ward, a hospital nightmare. The isolation was the worst part. I was confined to a private room on the 7th floor, a wing the staff referred to as flow traffic. It meant silence, fluorescent shadows, and endless, echoing nights. I was sick, but the pain of my ailment soon became secondary to the creeping, psychological dread that filled the room after dark. The moment the main lights were dimmed and the last nurse performed her final, hushed, check, I knew I wasn't alone. It started with the cold, not the controlled, regulated chill of air conditioning, but a deep, bone-aching cold that radiated from the corner near the bathroom. Even beneath the heavy hospital blanket, my skin felt pricked, like every hair was standing on end. I would constantly glance over my shoulder, convinced that if I just looked fast enough, I'd catch someone standing there. It wasn't just a feeling of being watched. It felt like a presence was actively leaning in, breathing the same stale air. One night, around 2 a.m., the paranoia solidified. I was staring up at the acoustic tiles of the ceiling, trying to time my own breaths against the mechanical beep-beep of the monitor. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of the latch clicking on the main door. It was slow, deliberate, and loud in the absolute quiet. I froze, holding my breath. The heavy wooden door didn't just rattle, it creaked inward, just a few centimeters. A sliver of the sickly yellow emergency light from the hallway spilled onto the floor. "Hello," I whispered, my throat dry. No answer. Is someone there? I tried again, louder. The door didn't stop. It continued its agonizing, inch-by-inch swing, until a quarter of the opening was visible. But there was nothing there. Absolutely nothing. I could see the deserted hallway, the nurse's station lights, far down the corridor. My heart was pounding so hard, it hurt my ribs. As soon as I blinked, the door began to swing back, slowly and steadily, until it clicked shut again, the latch securing itself with a final, ominous thud. I lay awake, paralyzed. That's when the second sound began. It was from the small sweet comfort room. A sudden, violent, deafening whoosh and churn, the sound of the toilet flushing. Fart, as if by an angry hand. But I knew the CR was empty. I hadn't even used it myself since the night staff came through. I turned my head, straining against the fear, and listened. The residual sound of rushing water faded, leaving behind a silence even heavier than before. It felt like a challenge, like whatever was in that bathroom wanted me to know it was there, and it was not quiet. That night, I fell into a terrible, exhausted sleep. That's when the nurse came. In my dream, the hallway lights were gone. The air was thick and gray. I was wheeled along a gurney by a figure in an old-fashioned white uniform. This wasn't one of the kind, tired women from the day shift. This was the scary nurse. Her face was a stretched canvas of deep shadow and bone, and her eyes were two black, empty sockets. "You shouldn't have been left alone," she rasped, her voice like sandpaper. She leaned down, her breath smelling of antiseptic and dust. "He is waiting for you. The sickness. It is just the beginning. We don't save souls. On the 7th floor, we simply collect them." She gripped my arm, her touch icy, and pointed down the endless, dark corridor. A faint, flickering light appeared at the very end. She whispered, "He's been watching you since they locked the door, and soon you will walk out." I woke up screaming, sweat soaking the sheets. I immediately looked toward the CR and the door. Still, silence. But the real terror was just beginning. As my eyes adjusted to the weak night light, I saw a movement in the periphery. Near the far window, where the moonlight struggled to cut through the blinds, was a tall, unnervingly still figure. It was the White Lady. She was dressed in a gown of shimmering white fabric that seemed to absorb and distort the dim light. She was moving, not floating, but walking. Her movements were slow, repetitive, and soundless. A chilling, endless patrol. She walked toward the wall, turned, and walked back towards the foot of my bed. I pressed myself against the headboard, unable to speak or even gasp. What horrified me most was the realization that her feet weren't touching the floor. They were inches above the linoleum, and yet she moved with the heavy, deliberate gait of someone dragging a great weight. Her face was obscured, hidden by a curtain of long dark hair, or perhaps just shadow. She was getting closer to the foot of my bed. I closed my eyes, praying this was another nightmare. But the sound of the monitors rhythmic beep, the sound of my own life, me, in the chilling reality. When I opened my eyes, the walking had stopped. The white lady was standing at the foot of my bed, perfectly aligned with the four-pole. She tilted her head, and though I couldn't see her face, I felt the focus of her attention, cold, heavy, and absolute. Then, the air pressure in the room shifted violently. The four-pole began to rattle, the metal shuddering as if an invisible hand was shaking it, and the CR door, which had been perfectly closed, slammed open with a sound that cracked the silence like a gunshot. A sudden damp, grave cold gust of wind hit me from the direction of the open bathroom door. I was trapped between the silent apparition at the end of the bed and the invisible, angry presence now announcing itself from the bathroom. The white lady slowly raised a hand. Her arm was unnaturally long, her fingers bony, and it reached out. Not for me, but for the tube leading into my IV drip. I saw the shadow of her fingers closing on the plastic line. Just as she was about to pull, the main door to my room flew open, the real one this time. And the night shift doctor rushed in for a surprise check. The bright overhead fluorescent light flooded the room. In an instant, the white lady was gone. The fourth pole settled into stillness. The CR door hung half open, innocent. The doctor, looking concerned by my obvious terror, asked if I was okay. I told him I had a nightmare, but as I looked at the ceiling, I noticed a fresh, slow drip of water falling from the air vent above the empty bathroom. It wasn't water, it was rust-colored, and I knew that somewhere in the plumbing something had just flushed, and that whatever was doing it was still very much inside the hospital. I haven't been able to sleep soundly since I left that room. The silence is now the scariest sound of all.